So my name is Kayla Stone. It actually just changed because I just got married, so I'm used to saying my other last name. And I am a person in recovery. What that means for me today is I haven't had an incarceration, hospitalization, or any involvement with the court system in 9 years, 9.5 years almost. And I am a certified recovery peer specialist. I began this work as a young person early in my recovery journey. I'm also a mom. I have a teenage son and a 9-year-old, and I am the program director of a recovery community organization called South Florida Wellness Network. And I get to support and help lead in our youth programming. So I'm going to pass it along to my co-facilitator here with me, Nikki.
Hi guys. Yes. Nicole, but I like going by Nikki. And I'm a young person who has dealt with challenges of mental health and luckily I have not had any attempt on my life or anything in the past 7 years. So definitely grateful for that. And I'm glad that we get to share kind of what it's like being a youth in this environment and coming from those challenges to being able to serve other youth and young adults in our community that are facing those challenges and showing them that there is other ways to heal and have healthy life in recovery.
Awesome. Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah.
So, our presentation is really about not just serving young people, because that's what our programs are. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that our program kind of formed and where we're at now is like a youth department. But it's really about actually employing young people. So, young people in recovery and giving them the opportunity to lead. All of our services and programming is youth led. So, our team here, which is here's a picture of some of our team. We got a few missing out of this picture, but this is our youth department, and they range from the ages of 20 to 27. And they're the leader of the youth department, the supervisor is a young person too, and that's Nikki, and she's done an incredible job of really kind of coming together and building this department and the programming for young people. And it's all not just youth led by the voices of our team, but it's youth led by the participants and community members that access services as young people.
And I don't know if we said it, but if you have any questions throughout, you guys can drop them in the chat. We'll each be monitoring them too and just kind of answering them. Or you can raise your hand and we'll also call on people. We want it to be interactive. So we want you guys to also play a part in our presentation today.
Yes, awesome. So before we get into the presentation, we're going to do a little bit of an icebreaker to see how well you all connect with young people. If you're, whether you're a young person or you are somebody who works with young people or employs young people. So I'm going to hand it off to Nikki, and she's going to start our icebreaker.
Yes. So our icebreaker is a little funny. It's a little like quirky. We're just doing young lingo today. Kind of those slang words that young people use. So what we want to do is kind of open it up to you all. Yes, we are all young. My dad always says you're only as old as you feel, and he still feels 20. So definitely what we want to do is open it up to you all and kind of if you want to maybe introduce yourself and pick a word that you may think you know or you don't know but you want to take a guess at what it might mean, and then I'll tell you guys if you're correct or what the actual meaning is. Oh, don't forget 6 7. Oh no. Awesome. So if anybody wants to take a shot at one of the words, I'll monitor the chat, or also you can just raise your hand and come off of mute. Up to you all.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. So that's gonna be our IYKYK. Yes.
Good job.
Any other ones look familiar?
Goats, greatest of all time.
Yes.
That has not changed. Has gone through the generations.
Someone put, I picked IRL, which means in real life. Yes, because everything is so digital nowadays. You got to say, oh, that happened in real life. Especially in the day and age of AI. They ate and fire. See in the chat. Are these the ones you know? They ate, fire, lit, fuego. Capping is lion, to cap or to cap. Someone said they need to add clock it. Salty. Salty means being a little jealous if you're salty. Tea, the gossip.
Yes, spill the tea. That slaps by Susan Nayamura. What does that mean, Susan Nayamura? I heard your presentation slapped.
Yes, it did.
Bread is what I work hard for.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes, that
The
money.
bread. Get the bread. Sus is suspicious. Shook means that they left you surprised. If you were shook, you were in awe of something.
I heard that the stay woke is staying alert on things
Yes.
about an individual or something that's going on.
100%. Especially nowadays where everything is AI, it's important to stay woke because you never know what's real and what's not real anymore. You have to go to the comments to see anything nowadays. So stay up to date on fake news. You want to know.
Yes. Crash out. I'm crashing out if I'm freaking out. Yes, my son tells me all the time that he's crashing out or I'm crashing out.
Cooked is when they say something funny to you or something about you and everybody laughing. I got a 30-year-old, a 29-year-old, and a 22-year-old. So I hear a lot. And I work with youth as well. So I hear a lot of this back pocket stuff.
I'm 27 and I still can't even keep up with some of them. I'm like, what does that mean? Especially being that we work with such young people. And I'm like, what is that? What are you talking about? It took me a while to figure out what 6'7" was.
I know.
Is I'm dead in the past? Oh,
I'm dead.
Susan says that because she has a daughter who says I'm dead all the time.
My
My
son
son tested my knowledge the other day and I flunked so bad.
Yeah, if you do have like teenage children, definitely take these words, go home and start like using them if you are now learning the correct lingo and they will crash out. It will be really, really funny. I've done it before.
Most definitely.
Bet is another word as like they'll do it or okay. I hear that a lot. Like
Bet.
if I say something like we not going a certain place, they like bet I can go get my car and drive myself. So, and I'm like, okay.
Yep.
Yup. That's basically how it goes. Let me see if there was some we didn't.
Pride is high.
Fried high. Also, it could just mean just like you're just tired.
Like out of your mind.
Yeah, like I'm dead. Because I use fried when my brain is just not working. Like when I'm at work and my problem solving has gone out the window, I'm like, I'm fried, my brain is shut off. I need to take a nap. So it goes
So
both
like
ways.
if it's Tuesday and you waiting on Friday.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
fried because for sure I'm fried because today is only Wednesday and I'm trying to gas up so I can get ready
Yes.
for Friday. I live for the weekend to be able to say no and do self-care. So
That's amazing. Yes. Correct.
Yes.
Bussin', that means good. Yes.
Mm-hmm. What is IRL? IRL is in real life. Sus means suspicious.
Yep.
Yes. Let me see if there are any on here. KMS I threw in here because we do multiple trainings and in a different training I had someone ask me what that means because they work with cheerleaders, like young cheerleaders, and they're always saying that. And they're like, "What does this mean? What does this mean?" And so KMS means it's very dramatic, but it means like kill myself. It means they're having like a really just like tough day and they're like out on their luck and it's not positive at all. So I try like to let my like youth that I work with like don't encourage saying something like that. But in case you do hear younger people saying that, that's what it means. So I post that one in here to kind of raise that awareness to maybe redirect that verbiage because it can be misleading for sure.
Yeah.
Were there any that we didn't touch on?
I know some youth definitely is using these words. IDGAF.
Oh, yeah. I
Yes.
don't give.
A
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
IDK, IDC, I don't care, I don't know, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot actually of acronyms. There's a lot more acronyms that are being used by young people nowadays than like ever before. And I also think that's because we're the technology era. These kids are coming up in full on technology. And so like even like my son who's 15, he texts in a lot of acronyms. And I have to ask him all the time, like, what does this mean?
Or
Um,
they speak in emoji.
Yeah, I
yes.
was getting ready to say emojis need to be made aware of too because as a parent support partner, our parents are asking us like, what does when the head is blowing up or something like that, or they got like the eggplant and a donut. Like, what does that mean? Like, they want to know what that means. So it's a lot of things that these emojis we need to know as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know there was like a cipher that came out at one point where like different emojis were code for different types of like narcotics and things like that
Yeah,
too.
we
So
did a
there's
training on that as well.
it's to keeping up with technology is definitely challenging. I see too in the chat someone said, "How do you use flaw?" So when something's flaw, it means that like that was not right. Like if someone did you wrong, that was flaw. Like so if Kayla just sat here and started spilling all my secrets and I would be like, "Kayla, that's flaw. Don't do that." So that's what flaw means. Yeah. Awesome. So I think we covered a lot of them. If someone's cooked, that means that like they probably messed up and they're gonna have to deal with some consequences. So it's like you're cooked. You missed the mandatory meeting, you're cooked. Um, and I think that we covered pretty much
Think
all
so.
of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. You knew a bunch of them. I can
What
tell.
about you boosting?
That's new for me.
Yeah, you boosting. Like you
What?
trying to make it more than what it is.
Oh, okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
I grew up in the gaslighting time, so they would be like, "You're gaslighting me if you're like doing too much." That one's new for me. Someone put SYBAU. I don't know what that one is.
Me neither.
It involves several cuss words, but it's shut your BA up. And I've seen that on the
Oh,
internet. Yeah.
oh my goodness, these kids. Well, we learned something today. We thought we
Yeah,
were
thank
teaching you
you.
all, and you all are teaching us.
Amazing. That's how it works.
Yes, awesome.
I learned flossing from reality TV, LOL.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, awesome.
All right, so we will move on now that we all know the youth lingo. And we're going to talk a little bit about now like a youth leadership framework. So youth leadership isn't just preparing leaders for tomorrow, it's shaping the recovery movement today. So we believe like at our organization and the values of our organization is that young people are they can lead, right? It's not they don't need to follow behind. We need to build them up and put them into those leading roles because they're the ones that are going to really understand what other young people are facing today. But obviously that comes with, mentoring and coaching and providing a lot of opportunity and a environment where they can thrive. So if you kind of look at the framework that we have here at the bottom, it says youth and young adult voices are shaping program design and evaluation. So this is where you're getting, youth input, whether it be from young people that you have hired within your organization, or maybe you don't have young people in your organization and you want to recruit that, and you're starting with, because you have a youth program, to get input from participants of services. And then obviously we want to kind of move up in this framework and get to leadership and shared ownership, which are promoted within the organization. So this is where you are not only having youth voice shaping the programs and the design of your services, but you're actually putting them in roles where they have shared ownership and leadership opportunities. And so that's really like the framework of our youth department that we've built, is that it is completely led by young people that are being mentored by adults that are helping them to continue to just really thrive in their innovation and them knowing what other young people need. And so I'm going to
Yeah.
pass it to Nikki, and she's going to talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So for me, this was kind of like a perfect example of the journey I've had of coming to where I am today as a supervisor of the youth program. Because I started my journey when I was about 13 years old, with this agency specifically because they offered what like a youth programming for youth to come out, and at that time they were offering like stipends, so I was able to get a stipend for coming, participating, providing my voice to certain types of like council meetings. They want to know what the youth want to know, and I was kind of one of the only youth that would be at these meetings, so it was a little intimidating to begin with. So I didn't speak up much, um and then progressing through my journey, I kind of fell off for a little bit and did my thing once I hit my teenage years, young adult years. And then I ended up coming back and applying for a job as a youth peer specialist and a wellness coach at South Florida Wellness Network, where I was able to take my lived experience that I had in those gap years, because luckily I was introduced to this so young, and really help other young people who are having these different difficult challenges that they're navigating, whether that be like family challenges, relationship challenges, mental health challenges, all those things that really just weigh on a young person's identity and things like that. And I've been able to grow. I've been at the agency for almost 5 years now, and I went from providing that support to doing our youth outreach services, where I really got to help coordinate events that would bring young people and help them learn how to do, financial literacy, or just like community engagement, community building, and bringing our young people from our community to have fun doing things together and knowing that they're not alone. And then from there, I've been able to step into a leadership role and become a supervisor and help build up other young people to provide those same services. And so it's been a journey that I definitely didn't think I was gonna get to this point. But it's just been amazing to have adults that saw that in me and gave me those opportunities, because I didn't see those opportunities in myself. And I'm so grateful for this. So
So awesome.
a
Yeah.
little story, yeah.
Yeah, it's and similar to Nikki, South Florida Wellness Network gave me an opportunity as a young person. I was 24 when I got hired, actually as an adult peer specialist, with my lived experience in child welfare. That was like the first position that I was able to come and like work at the agency, and really being taken under the wing of like mentors and given opportunities to like lead in projects and be a valued employee, but person and voice, and see the growth opportunities as a young person. I've been there now for 9 years. And so I've like grown up in my recovery journey and my recovery process of helping people, to then being able to like mentor other young adults and like see this pipeline of young people in recovery that are stepping into leadership roles, into advocacy and system transformation, such as Nikki, which has been an incredible journey. Okay, so developing youth-led departments. So we're going to talk a little bit about like what that looks like. So as Nikki had stated, like, recruiting and training young adults with lived experience. That's like the really big piece. So like as an organization, you may right now like offer youth services, but you really don't have like young people or a youth department or a youth team. And so you may start with some, you know, like community engagement where you have a youth advisory council, right? And you're pulling young people in, or you're doing community events that draw in young people to really engage youth in their process. And because a lot of the time, like for our organization, like I told you guys, 21 right now is the youngest. But we've hired people like, you know, literally right out of high school or 19 years old. And this is their first, like, you know, big job, right? And career. And so it's like really looking at young people as, you know, they are a person that has a lot to bring to the table, but they also need to be like guided and led and an environment for them to thrive. And so for us, you know, we've learned that really tapping into connection where young people want to feel valued, they want to feel like their voice is credible. And sometimes, you know, sometimes it's like not the worst of intentions, but like older generations come in and they kind of want to parent young people. So then they see any like youth employee, they look at them kind of as their child. And so they may not have the level of credibility in their eyes, or their ideas like are kind of like set to the side. So what we have done as an organization, and we have really incredible leadership at our organization that values youth voice. And so we allow for young people to really lead in all of the youth programming and services, and all of our youth peer specialists are actual young people in recovery because they connect so much more with youth than sometimes like an adult who may want to go into like parenting a young person. And so I'll pass it to Nikki and she can talk a little bit about like what it's like mentoring and leading, and how we developed the youth department.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't go without, it's challenges because like Kayla did mention, a lot of these young people are coming into this setting from maybe like the restaurant industry or fast food or something that doesn't have as much responsibility. So there can be some challenges of them getting to understanding like we are an agency, we do have certain policies and procedures that need to be followed, and documentation, and kind of just learning a little bit of responsibility. Um, but part of our supervision plan is when we start hiring somebody, we meet with them on a weekly basis throughout their 90 days to make sure that they're supported, because we understand that it is a lot to adjust to. Um, I didn't even know what I was getting myself into when I got into this line of work. But it's all just been learning, and I've felt very supportive. I've never felt that I couldn't ask questions if I needed to, or that I couldn't, speak up on certain things, because as a young person, it's very intimidating coming in to this kind of setting and feeling like your voice matters or that your opinion matters. And it's just really teaching young people on how to approach certain situations, to have conversations and let their voice be heard appropriately. And so sometimes you have to redirect them. I've had, some youth that maybe they are still navigating their emotions, and they maybe don't know how to communicate properly, and I've had to redirect like, hey, I understand you may be frustrated, but there's a way to approach it without having those kind of emotions come out, and getting your point across appropriately. And it's just having that understanding, because I know I was the young person that had an attitude for sure. So, it's just coming from that place of understanding and not frustration. And so it definitely takes a little bit more patience working with young people, but it's so rewarding when you get to see them grow, and you've had a part in like watching these young people grow and be able to go to conferences, and we were able to present with my fellow employees, and just seeing them really grow, and it's just been an amazing experience for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I think the most important thing is that you kind of step into like a coaching role. And so what we've found is that, you know, young people, and I think everybody takes coaching better than like you know, somebody who's like micromanaging or management is like we talk about leadership as like building leaders, not managing people, but really like pouring into them to see them reach their full potential. And so like even our one-on-ones is all about like discovering people's strengths. It's what are your strengths, what are your interests, what are your hopes and dreams? Because we should be helping to build young people up to reach their hopes and dreams because that's really what they're doing with the young people that they're serving. And so everything that we model gets then modeled in the services that they deliver. And we recognize that. So we spend a lot of time with our youth in like these mentoring kind of settings and in also like group settings where we're brainstorming as a group because it's important for young people to feel like their ideas matter and they have the best ideas and they're so innovative and they're so tailored to young people because they're a young person. And so even for me who, you know, I exceeded the cap of 29, but they've always kind of inherited me as still a young adult, but I get to actually help to lead and develop the young adults and see them thrive and do amazing things with the programming. And so we take on more of like a coaching role than a commander role. And it's really about creating an environment where like learning is encouraged and promoted, and people don't feel like youth don't feel stupid because they don't know something. Because there's going to be a lot of things that they're not going to know that maybe even like an average, like older person knows that has more experience in the work field. And so we just really like support our young people with understanding that and having the patience to kind of walk through those things with them and check in with them with their self-care, you know, and make sure that they're taking care of themselves because even as a 20-year-old, you're still like you're an adult, but you're like really learning how to an adult. And I know for me, like in my early 20s, I did not have it together and I needed that guidance. I needed those safe places. And so being in a professional setting and having a career at that age is like already a huge accomplishment and achievement. And these are also young people in recovery. And so they're resilient and incredible, and they just need the right environment to thrive.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that's when we kind of get into like having a supportive organizational culture. Like this is so important because young people are not going to want to work for an organization where they don't feel valued, where they don't feel like their voice is heard or that they can contribute. Everybody wants to have purpose. They want to feel like they are adding value to the place that they're working, and that also engages them more in like the mission because we all personally have like our own mission and the things that like really make us feel that are meaningful, that make us feel like we have purpose. And that's something that we really try to create with our young people. And when they feel like they are a active participant and have purpose, it drives them to want to do just extraordinary things. It's pretty incredible. We have somebody on our youth team that like developed a curriculum to help youth with mental health through music. And it's because he connects and his strength is music. And so we create that space and help them to build that confidence to do these incredible things. And then he's making an impact, which is so meaningful and just driving him to want to like do more work for like in this field, which I think is incredible. So I get very excited about all the things that our young people do. Okay, so investing in youth voice, vision, and innovation. So this is like really about creating those platforms for people, for young people to really shape programming and like have innovative approaches. A lot of the time, you get organizations that kind of get into the mundane, like check the box, this is what we do. It's, you know, it's been working, or even if it's not working, it's too much to change it. And then when you get young people in and they have these fresh ideas, sometimes people could feel very overwhelmed because also when young people get excited, they may just be like, ah, we should do this, and that. And so you have to be able to facilitate these kind of platforms and these group gatherings where you're able to like bring in the ideas, but then also like, how do we plan for this, right? And how do we kind of like take a really grandiose idea and then like reverse engineer it and say like, well, what can we do now? Because when we are taking the youth's ideas and we're saying like these are really valuable things and we want to invest in them, it actually fuels that purpose and it fuels that engagement for young people to want to be in this work and feel that they're making that meaningful impact. Nikki, do you want to add anything to that? Because I know you've facilitated a lot of those platforms.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like Kayla said, youth can be very they think very like impulsively. So sometimes they may not think through an idea before they say it. So it's just really taking that time to kind of walk them through the process of getting to that final step and like giving them the guidance to get there. Because I've sat in some youth planning meetings and they have great ideas and they're huge ideas, and I'm like, that's amazing. Let's bring it back a little bit. How are we going to get to that? Maybe we should start here and then we can get to that bigger scale of things. So it's really just like not shutting them down, because sometimes you want to just be like, you're out of your mind. What are you thinking? That would never work. But you don't want to do that because it can be very hard on a young person, especially if they're not used to speaking out already, to want to speak up again if you're kind of shutting them down. So it's more of learning how to do the redirection on certain ideas and things like that. So it does take a little bit more patience for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, shared responsibility and decision-making power. So it's really about like including youth in those opportunities to lead teams and projects. They're never, so a lot of time people are like, don't want to hire somebody because they don't have the experience. But when it comes to young people, like this is going to be their first experience. And that gives you the opportunity to experience being able to mentor and build and coach a young person, because people say youth are our future, but it's our present that builds the future. And so I'm always like, you have to build into the present in order to have that future. And so we really try to give those opportunities. And oftentimes, like, we'll allow for if somebody wants to step into like leading something new, we'll like coach them through that and we'll let them co-lead with us on a project and we'll support them. Or if they have an idea, we'll stand and they feel very confident, we'll guide them in that, but they'll lead that entire idea or whatever that project may be. And so it's really important that they feel like they have that decision-making power and those shared responsibilities, because again, that is like what creates that meaningful impact and the purpose that people feel like I'm adding value, and my organization and the people that are leading me feel that I'm a valued member here. And so also cultivating connection, so important. Like young people want to feel connection. Okay. Like I think even more so now, because we were even talking about this before, is like with social media and the digitized world, we're in such a era where like connection is lost. Like, yeah, you have connection through your cell phone, but it's not like true connection. And I think that young people actually crave true connection. And so, it's really important as like when we're adults that are leading, or a young adult that's leading, is like that we're influencing through the bridges that we build and not the badge that we wear, right? So depending on what your position is, we don't want to flex that position. We want to build bridges to really empower and equip young people to be able to lead. So I have like this is like the kind of the thing that I live by, is instead of assumptions, we ask questions, right? We stay curious, because oftentimes assumptions are what leads to like that distrust or a young person feeling like they're not valued. And so ask questions so that a person feels valued. And then listen to what this person is saying, right? Like if you're asking the questions, then be willing to actually listen to them, because then a young person feels heard. And then empathize with the young person, what they're sharing or what they're going through. And that's also going to allow you to build that trust in order to guide them. Because when you build credibility in their life, they want to listen to you because they know that you're that safe person and that the things that you're sharing are going to help them build them up. And they actually begin to have that relationship where they allow you to coach them. And then the positive culture and environment. So obviously, respect and psychological safety is really important within your organization, making the environment youth engaging, right? So like, does this environment, if I have youth programming or youth services, does it actually look like a place that young people want to come to? How can we make it a little bit more youth engaging? And then celebrating progress and achievements. That's always a huge thing, right? So if you're recognizing the progress that a young person is making, whether it be an employee or a young person in services, celebrate that progress. Like people need to hear it. If you see it, celebrate it. And then I'll pass it to you, Nick, and you can talk about the role of a young adult supervisor.
Yeah. So, definitely coming into the role I wasn't sure how I was gonna do it. because when I came into this role, I was also like pregnant with my first child too. So I had a lot on my plate. And I was growing up really fast all at once. But part of it is like getting into the swing of even more of the responsibilities. And it was a little challenging for me because I came from being their peers, like the youth team peer, to now supervising them. And as a young person, it's kind of natural to want to be liked. Um, so it was hard for me to navigate conflict. That was one of definitely the challenges I had coming into this role, but being able to think about what was it that I needed when I was in this situation as a young person? What is it that would have worked for me in this situation as a young person? And also asking the other young people, like Kayla was talking about giving praise when they're achieving things, and it's asking them like, how do you like to receive praise? Like, do you like one-on-one conversations of, hey, you're doing amazing, keep it up? Or do you want to be, shouted out in one of our youth group meetings, like highlighted for the work you've been doing? And really figuring out the young people that you're working with and how to work with each one of them, because everyone's different and everybody needs to be mentored differently and supported differently. Some people need an extra push. Some people like to be, let me do my own thing and I will check in with you and make sure I'm doing it correctly, but I like to do things, on my own. So there was that. There's also the fact that we have a youth coordinator position, which is somebody who really like spearheads working on events to engage the young people in our community. And we've also had the opportunity to have work with multiple grants. And we've had grants with a local hospital system in our area that we've gotten to put on an 8-week programming where it was one session a week and young people were able to come for, and they got compensated for coming, and they got to learn financial literacy, community inclusion. We had entrepreneurs come out and talk about what it's like becoming an entrepreneur, learning about mental health literacy, and all these things that were run by young people. And we got to ask the community, what is it that they enjoyed? And we get to do that grant again this year and learn from what we didn't do last year that will help us do it again better this year. I've doing the one-on-one coaching too as a supervisor was a little bit challenging at first, of like, okay, how am I going to support this person's challenge? This is new for me. And now I'm here with this person and I got to walk through these challenges with them, because we do work with individuals who have lived experience, whether that be with mental health or substance use. And so things arise, especially, when you're actively in recovery and you're having, tough times at this moment and you're going through those motions and things like that. So it's definitely been an adjustment, but it's been so rewarding to be able to build this, youth programming. And the youth program at our agency was one of the biggest programs that we had for a while. We keep growing, so our agency keeps growing, but it felt so rewarding being the youngest supervisor at my agency with the biggest group. And working with, I think the most at one point we had were 12 staff members that I had, each one serving about 15 participants. So we had over 100 participants we were serving, and it was a lot, but it just showed me how capable I am of this work, and I would have never thought I would have gotten here. So it's just been amazing, and I hope that going forward, I can pass that torch on to another young person who will be able to get the same fulfillment out of it that I did, and continue to just keep building up these young people and seeing them be so inspired to do the work that they do. Whether that's starting support groups for young people, the younger staff. I'm not a very social media kind of young person, but you know, I have my younger staff and like teach me the TikTok stuff. Like, how do we get on TikTok? How do we reach some of those youth that don't know about us, you know, who aren't in services but could benefit from our services? So it's just been definitely amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I actually, side note, have gotten to mentor Nikki. And so I've always known that she's capable, but watching her grow into the leader that she is has been nothing short of incredible. And like she said, like watching the department just like grow and expand, and like young people managing their own grants and like presenting at conferences and like in the school system and like just really in the community serving other youth and like creating the movement. That's what it was always about. And that's what we've gotten to see established. And it's just something that's pretty incredible because it gives me a lot of hope for our future when I am seeing these youth that are coming in with the passion and the resiliency and just the hearts that they have and the intelligence and the innovation, because they're so innovative. It's amazing. And they have incredible ideas. And it's really about how do we foster that? You know, how do we take this and actualize it? And how do we give young people the tools to really just like, you know, solve the world's problems? Because that's what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just to touch on the bottom one, leadership and growth opportunities, what we've been able to do at our organization is provide pathways to leadership roles by developing a leadership pipeline. So we have like peer roles. So like you come in and you may be like coming in as a youth peer specialist and working at the agency and kind of learning your role there. And then you may have interest in leadership and you're showing that like you have some of these skills, and we want to tap into that because we're always looking for individual strengths, because when people are operating in their strengths, they're typically feeling that meaningful purpose, stuff that you feel that makes you want to continue to do the work. And so we provide opportunities for individuals to then have a leadership role like a peer two, where they may be working closely with Nikki as the supervisor, learning some of the behind the scenes, because I think that's important too. And a lot of young people have those questions of like, how does all of this work? And so when they are interested, we are like, come on, we're going to show you. And so we carve out the time to kind of teach them the behind the scenes. And that actually like sometimes it sparks their interest, and they're like, man, I want to, you know, do this over here, or I really want to be in leadership one day. And so we've created a pipeline within our organization that supports peers that are coming in that want to grow within the organization and learn other things that they can do to have these other opportunities. And so we have a peer two, a peer three. Actually, in our youth department, we have peer threes, and then we also have a youth coordinator who Nikki explained to you guys really runs and spearheads all of the activities, events, and advocacy initiatives. So this is our Hollywood Center. This is our Youth and Family Center. South Florida Wellness Network actually has 4 recovery community centers. Each one has its flavor and touch, but this is our Youth and Family Center. And so as you all can see, the inspiration behind this center was really to engage young people. And so our CEO really gave us the opportunity to create and to design. And so she put us in the driver's seat of leading in this project with her amazing guidance and support. And we developed a center that really is engaging with young people. And so this is our center empty, but typically right after school, it fills up with young people, or on any kind of break, whether it's summer break or spring break. We actually have to keep a calendar because we do not promote youth skipping school and coming to the center. But the young people feel safe here. They love it. They enjoy playing the games. Obviously, like everything here is like free for them. It's a community center. And they get to be engaged by other young people in recovery. And so this is kind of like how we've created it. You can see in the far left-hand corner, we have a stage because we do a lot of open mic nights. We have so many young people that have so many gifts and talents, whether it's singing, rapping, spoken word, and poetry. And so we try to do a lot of different activities that are going to tap into creative outlets because those are coping mechanisms. And that is how also young people express themselves and really how all of us express ourselves. And so a lot of our workshops will be tailored around creative outlets or leadership development, mental health literacy, financial literacy, anything that's going to build recovery capital for our young people. So it's going to really help them to kind of understand who they are or learn the tools and the skills and the coping needed to really, succeed in life. And then just to be around, other young people that are on that same path of recovery.
Yeah, we do the community in the actual plaza that we're at. It's like a Publix plaza, and there's like a lot of other things that are in there, and there's a lot of young people, like young youth who ride their bikes up and down the street or who just are looking for something to do. And a lot of like the older people get frustrated and will call the cops on them because they're kind of just hanging around the area. And so our facility has really given them a place to like be without having to go home. We don't know what their living situations are. We don't know what it's like for them to be home. And so sometimes they can just come to our center as an escape. And we've had parents show up and say, "Oh, where's our kid hanging out all day?" And they come in and they see our center and they're like, "Oh, wow, like this is great." So it's amazing. We have a high school that's not too far, and it's kind of become like a word around the high school. And so they'll just come and they'll see each other from school. And I saw in the chat someone was asking where the murals were done or who did our murals. And it's actually like a community member who's also has their own lived experience in mental health and substance use. And he's learned how to do art during his time served, and now he uses it as his creative outlet. And he also does tattoos and things like that. So he has done a beautiful work on our wall. He has Eminem, he has Tupac, there's Biggie in the corner too, and he's just done amazing stuff. Our Mario wall, a lot of younger people love that wall. So yes, it's been great for sure.
Awesome. Yep. And then in that second square to the left is I know I'm like really bad with my right and left. Okay.
Yeah.
Talking Wellness, and that is our actual South Florida Wellness Network podcast. So that was another thing that we were able to create through our agency, given the opportunity to just, have an idea that we want to reach everyone that can't come to our center, and we want wellness to be like just free for nationwide, in the whole globe, the whole world. And so we came together and like had this idea of starting a podcast. And so we did, and it's called Talkin' Wellness. And we do different types of topics around mental health, substance use, wellness topics, all kinds of stuff. So if you guys want to follow, it's Talkin' Wellness, and you can do that. It's on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, all the platforms.
Yep. All right, so this is Rise. This is our youth programming that we came up with. We used to work in uh collaboration with another youth program, but our youth has grown so much that we kind of moved away from that and created our whole own branding to tailor the youth in our community, because the one we used to cooperate with before was like a nationwide. And so we wanted to bring it more tailored to our youth and what really our youth wanted. And our group of youth sat down and we brainstormed, like, what do we want this to entail? We came up with the name, which is Rise, and it means to reclaim, ignite, self-advocate, and empower. And we all sat down in our group, and what did those words mean to us? Why is it so significant? We chose a phoenix as our logo because we want to help these youth who people think are broken and unfixable, and help them rise and become leaders, like young people who have been written off. I've heard teachers say, "Oh, you're not going to be nothing. You're just going to work at McDonald's," and we're here to show them like you can be more than what your situation is currently. And so we want to give them their voice to sit on board meetings, come to city council meetings. You know, we have an advisory council that we encourage our youth to come to and provide that voice for young people. And so it's young people allowing other young people to come in and show like, look, I can do this, you can do this. And so it's just been such a rewarding experience. And we do have our Instagram little QR code there. You can see some of the work we've done and some of the events that we've run and the youth we've been able to impact. This picture here is us receiving our proclamation, one of our many proclamations for youth mental health awareness. So, and that's to some of our more of our youth members here and our families department as well, because we do work closely with our families department to ensure that not only the youth are supported, but also the families that are, you know, working with the youth as well.
Awesome. And so here's the mission and vision. Here's the team. This is one of our meetings that we would have, many meetings in order to come together with like, what is this going to be about? Like, what do we want this movement to be? What do we want the mission and vision? So it was all youth led, youth driven, youth created. So the mission is to ignite passion in young people to achieve their full potential through leadership development, advocacy, promoting wellness, and building community. And the vision is that we envision a future where young leaders are given the opportunity to rise to their full potential, awaken transformative change that echoes through their communities and reshapes the world. Like I told you, our young people, they want to change the world. And so they just need the platform to do it and just some guidance and encouragement, and they can do some pretty incredible things.
This is a video for a grant that we had. We had gotten a climate change grant where we were funded to create change in our community that promoted a positive change in our environment. So we funded a couple of beach cleanups where youth were able to come, get volunteer hours, and just spend like a good day helping our community. So here's a little video that Kayla's gonna play.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
So what's pretty awesome is that this is also a young person that's filming. And so, like I said, we find the strengths of all of our youth and young adults, and we try to tap into that because they love to create. And so, even with like the podcasting and all of that, those are strengths of young people. So it's pretty awesome.
And these are some of the activities that we've talked to you all about that we get to do for our young people. And all of our activities are free and open to the community. So you don't even have to be in our services to attend any of these events. The most we'll ask is that you RSVP, because we do sometimes have limited availability. And so we've done painting, we've done vision boards, we've done sculpting, we've gone kayaking, we have done so many things. We even did a water course on the water with the big inflatable obstacle course. And so we get to bring a lot of these opportunities that maybe these young people don't get to have that often. And they come and bring their friends, and we all just always have a great time.
We do, yeah. And we also allow young people to lead in workshops. So like youth in our services, if they have an idea, the youth peer specialist will support them in actually bringing whatever that workshop is that they want to bring. And then um, what Nikki had mentioned a couple slides back is like, the family voice is so important too. And so part of like why we have the Youth and Family Center is because we know that like youth and families go together. And so we come together with the family department, and we do a lot of like things together to support these families.
Cool.
Youth and Family Field Day, where it's bringing out the whole family together to experience like team building and bonding and community and just a lot of fun. And so this is just a quick snap of field day. So as we're closing up, because I know we're running out of time, and I did want to leave at least a couple minutes for questions. But this is just the call to action, and what steps can you take to cultivate youth leadership in your organization starting today? So it's just something to think about and reflect on, whether it be in your organization or even just in your community or in your household. Leadership is not about being in charge; it's about taking care of those in your charge. Simon Sinek. So we will stop sharing, and then if anybody has any questions, we hopefully can answer in a couple minutes.
I kind of just want to say you really inspire me to mentor youth. I know that I'd love to work with youth at some point, but I just feel so excited, I think. And I'm not that old. Like, I'm 39, but I feel like an elder millennial, and I'm sort of like in this other universe sometimes. And recovery is also super important to me, close to my heart, part of my personal story and lived experience. But I am at this stage in my career where I would love to give youth the lead and the voice. And because it's true, like the best leaders aren't really telling people what to do, they're giving people the space to do that. And I think it's really inspiring to listen to you and your stories. And just, I wanted to say thank you for showing up and, sharing hope in your story. And yeah, this is from an elder millennial in the Midwest out here. So thanks.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm actually, I'm a millennial too,
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm on the younger side, but it's definitely I got into this work in serving adults and then like moved into this passion for young people. I didn't even realize I didn't look at myself as a young person, even though I was 24 getting into this. I was like, seeing myself as an adult and I was like, wow, I'm really just a young person, but I was a teen mom, got, my lived experience. I grew up very fast. And so my passion is for young people too. And it is very rewarding because you are watching them thrive and getting to like pass the baton. And I always say like, you fail the race if you can't pass the baton. So we got to keep running and then pass the baton.
That's a great analogy. I love that. And it makes me think of a couple pieces of advice I've heard in my life about how, older generations need younger generations. They keep you young and healthy. And I think the younger generations need the older generations because they're going to keep you alive. We look out for each other and we can all learn from each other and we can all teach each other something. And then, yeah, I'm gonna forget what I want to say, the other thing I was thinking. So I'll probably mute myself so I don't just fumble around. But
Thank you. Yeah,
we
Nikki
need
and I
each
were just
other.
talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just saying like it's, the mentor relationship is not just like I'm mentoring you. It's like we are mentoring each other. And
Yes.
when adults step into that and they actually feel that way, then the young person that they may be mentoring actually feels valued and they're contributing and it actually creates a better bond and it helps them to actually thrive because they feel like they're adding value to you. And they are. Like I learned so much from people younger than me, like all the time.
Especially with as fast as times are changing. I was just having this conversation yesterday is that you need young people to help navigate like certain technology now. And it's just times are moving so much quicker than they used to in the past. So it's like you need those young people around because even I'm 27 and like the 23-year-olds I work with, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not that far apart, but like it feels so far apart because it's just so different.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. We don't want to keep you past, the time. We appreciate everybody who joined us. And if we had our emails up there, so if you have any questions, you can also email us.